No intro. This is uh this is one of those broadcasts. And for those who know, for those who uh, see my last broadcast, I can't remember which ones I am and am not posting because I am doing some recording behind the scenes. I don't plan on releasing those broadcasts yet um, until after, I want to say probably a year or so from now. Currently separated, so it's about my relationship, so I'm gonna wait until after divorce is finalized and all that stuff, until I release those because I don't want to stir the hornet's nest per se, but it's just kind of a rundown on some things in real time. Some of them by next year they'll be outdated, you know, based off of my updated knowledge and all that stuff. But the events, however, will be fresh because I record them close to when they happened, and also I record them based off of also my journal entries because luckily I was smart enough to think this whole dealing that I did keep a journal and I wrote stuff down on a daily basis. So it's not like I'm not remembering or recalling this stuff properly. No, I'm going back, and actually it's been a while since I read my journal entries because as I wrote the journal entries, I wrote them and then I kind of just left them. They're still saved. I'll go back and I've looked at like one or two of them, but I haven't read all of them. So I have a very detailed, day by day kind of what happened and what eventually led up to what was going on in my very short, very brief marriage. Fun fact, my marriage didn't even last a year, to be honest. Yeah, technically on paper, we were married for a year, but I'm not even gonna lie. Like after about 1, 2 months in, everything just literally just the whole structure and what I thought it was gonna be. Meaning, I was doing my part. I was doing what when I say something, I do it. So I was doing my part, and what I thought was going to be done on the other end, or what was going to happen between the both of us, it just completely. On top of that, there was also a lot of lying and deception as well. Literally day one, day one after after tying a knot, there was a lie, and I was just like, okay, come on now. This was literally one of the whole reasons we even decided to get married at this time of the year, and you're telling me that was founded. So even the very that whole date thing with the marriage was literally based on a lie. So you know, it, there's a lot. I'm gonna go into that, but this broadcast, however, I'm just gonna run on for some things that apparently I suppose some people think that I've made these life decisions based off of people on YouTube or something. I mean, YouTube to me, yes, it's good for information, it's good for knowledge. I'm not a fan of people. I did say in an earlier video, I think the closest I came to becoming a fan was um, JB in the early days of the Kevin Samuels, which I mean, he was technically stealing everything from JB, so that's the only reason why that was even a thing. But apparently, there are some folks, most notably my partner, soon to be ex-wife. Apparently, she thought and still thinks. I believe she probably still thinks it because remember, mind you, she stopped talking to me for a while. Like when I say talk to me, I mean yeah, the day to day, everything talk, but like how it is when you have to communicate in a relationship. You sit down, you have an actual conversation about real stuff. You're actually interested in your partner. You're wanting to know what's going on in your partner's day to day life. Yeah, those conversations never happened. So I guess she saw me observing the Kevin Samuels videos and she assumed I was a fan or a follower of him. The early days, now when I say the early days, I was put on his stuff through YouTube because we were already having issues in our relationship, and I was looking for some answers, and it just so happened he did pop up. Kevin Samuels popped up on my YouTube, and this is before he blew up. So this is before the whole average and best thing. There was actually like a month or two or three. I think it was about 3 months before that video. So he was very heavy on sticking to the script pretty much, because I later learned that he was taking his stuff from the teachings and the learnings of actual accomplished men, one being JB. I'll just say the sole one being JB, which the entire manosphere pretty much picked a lot of his philosophies, to be honest. Now, looking back on it, it's, I'm not surprised that's what drew me in, because it was what it was. It was facts. He stuck to, for the most part, the facts. Yes, there was some things in there he would say that he would misconstrue and misquote some statistics. I actually went and looked up all the statistics myself, which is why, when people say, "Oh, I'm just a Kevin Samuels," that's actually, I'm glad I'm touching on this, because that was actually one of the things. If I can share the screen here, but to kind of nip this in the bud, this whole misconception on that. Where is it? There we go. I was already, after the whole blow up and everything, I was noticing some stuff I was disagreeing. I was not agreeing with everything he had to say at all. Anyone who talked to me would know that. Like I said, anyone who actually talked to me would know that. But even the red pill, I might have gotten close. I might have said something like, "I'm close to being red pill," but I don't even think I said that. That doesn't even sound right to me. But I do recall me saying that I never have called myself red pill. Actually, I was in, I'll go ahead and say it, I was in MTR's discords and stuff, because he seemed to be at the time, actually he was the most reasonable, at least the most reasonable and stoic of the so-called manosphere, right? Because I was new to all this. I didn't know any of these people, and I do what I do. I do my digging, I do my research, I listen to them, I see the fallacies in what they say, and I see whether or not what they're saying is has some truth to it. That's what I do all the time, regardless of who the individual is. I did the same thing with JB, and I've said this myself. I can't disagree with anything he says. It is what it is. So to nip this in the bud, though, I was already privy to some weirdness going on with the whole Kevin Samuels thing, which is why I think it's funny how some individuals might think I was a staunch follower of him, or I made life decisions based off him. Actually, if I will say this, ironically, the one life decision that I did make, that he was a contributing factor on. Now, mind you, this was also me, my personal life. Some deaths had happened. I was thinking about some things, and actually, ironically, the one actual life decision that I did make, that I could or may have given some credit to, was actually me getting married. That's the that's the funny thing. So I actually can credit to some extent this marriage to the efforts of Kevin Samuels. So there's that. That's honest. That's me being genuinely honest, because I think at the time, now I had been engaged, but there were some things that had happened, some things I had learned, and I was questioning. I was questioning my at the time getting married because of it. So I was questioning the actual efforts and the motives and everything with my spouse, my fiance at the time. And there was that one video, and because, like I said, mind you, I made this decision myself. However, as I stated before, at that same time, there was that whole concept with Kevin, and he kept pushing that point, like, oh, if he's serious about marriage, he'll marry you in 6 months or some shit like that. That was actually one of the points of contention I always had with him, because I was like, I don't know about marriage. Like, I never. I was like, yeah. I remember I was talking to somebody in the Discord, because at the same time I would have conversations about some of the things he would say, and this was early on. This is like right around that blow up time. So this was early on in the days, and I was always like talking, because I always wanted to have my own conversation. That's actually why I began this YouTube channel, was because I wanted people to have this conversation with, because I was like, okay, the conversations over there aren't quite what I'm looking for, because it's like, it seems like, okay, yeah, he's talking about some things that are very important, and he's bringing up some stuff, but at the same time, it's like, it's more entertainment. It's like it's entertaining, and then I came to the realization it is entertainment. It's not. So pretty much from there, and then that's when I was like, okay, this isn't for me. So that's when I tried to do this channel to see if I could pull some like-minded individuals that actually wanted to talk about some of these things seriously. Also realizing how the actual population of the red pill, which is not anything what Kevin Samuels was talking about at all. Um, a bunch of defeated males, a bunch of guys whom aren't, competitive in the society and stuff like that. And I did encounter them. As I said, I was in MTR's Discord, and I was talking with them. Actually, I was one of the guys that I was constantly arguing with them, to be honest, because they would say and do stuff, and I'm just like, dude, no. Like, no, like, borderline misogynistic. I'm not gonna, I will say there was some misogyny there. Of course, there were the chicks there too. They were just there just to try to get an MTR, to be honest. But I was just like, okay, this isn't what I was looking for. These aren't the individuals and people I wanted to socialize with. But what I'm about to show is just, now, mind you, this is everything. Like, you can literally go on my YouTube channel and I'm talking about this stuff. As a matter of fact, what I'm about to show you is on my YouTube channel. Let me see here. So early, like when I started this channel, one of the very first streams that I did, actually, if you look here, is this the wrong one? Share this tab. One of the very first, like, you look in these streams, like, this channel isn't that old. These are my live videos. This is my very first video, and one of my first videos is actually the danger of Kevin Samuels. Now, this is during a time when no one except, JB and those, and which JB is the real one, but JB and people that were hating on Kevin were making anything like this, where they were like going against what he was saying and whatnot. Yeah, this was one of my very first videos. I was like, okay, there's some stuff that I want to address here, and I'm seeing some issues here, and if you look at it, it's 5 fucking hours long. It's one of my most viewed videos, actually, because some people did pop in there. There were quite a few Kevin Samuels haters, of course, which of course the haters are going to want to come see, a demonic thumbnail, which I did create that thumbnail myself. I will give myself some credit for that. But yeah, this was literally one of the very first videos I made, and actually I'm about to upload some more of these thumbnails, because I don't have to lie here. Everything I'm saying is, you can go and look this up yourself, to be honest, but I'm just being generous. But yeah, that was actually the first video, and actually, if you guys caught that, I had a slip up. Late last year. I hurried up and took it down, but I had a slip up last year because I actually plan on doing a follow-up. Now, my original plan for this Because if you watch the video, it might come off odd, and that was unintentional. But the original premise of this video was to see if there was someone out there that was thinking like I was thinking. Okay, some of what he's saying, I'm not trying to get at the people that just hate him just because he's talking about some of the issues he was talking about, because some of the issues he was talking about were true. But the problem was I was seeing this thing happen where anytime you talk about any of the issues with single motherhood and black women and stuff, they would always brush it off as a Kevin Samuels talking point. That's actually one of the things I addressed in that video. And I'm like, this has nothing to do with him. And that's actually one of the dangers I was talking about, because I was already suspecting something was off with them. And I was like, okay, these are some real talking points. I actually want to talk about the issues in the black society. I want to talk about the dynamic between black men and black women. I want to talk about the issue with the single motherhood. I want to talk about, you know, the sisterhood, which of course I did an unforced error on, acknowledging the sisterhood and all that stuff. I actually wanted to talk about that stuff. But every time I wanted to talk about something that was real, something I actually went and researched myself, I went and looked up the dating, statistics. I went and looked up, all that stuff on my own. Some of it I already knew beforehand, before him. And every time I would even try to bring up one of those statistics, yes, most black women have children. Most black women are overweight, and half of them, of the overweight population, are obese. Like, that is a fact. But because Kevin was stating that which it was a fact, because he was using that in his shows, even though it was a fact, people would always brush it off as, oh, that's just a Kevin Samuels talking about. I'm like, no, that's real. That's what it is. That's the truth. And I was seeing the danger, because I was like, okay, if this guy is a phony, this can actually be a setback, because now anytime we want to we actually need to address this issue, people are going to us, associate that with him. Oh, he was a phony, therefore what he was talking about was fake. So that was actually one of the first things that I wanted to address. I was like, okay, there's some dangers here, because, of course, the red pill, they were thirsty as hell. He was the only one getting any real clout. So they was all eating off of him. So none of them were going to talk out about it. And to be honest, most if not all of them are fake. So I was just like, okay, it's getting a lot of traction. It's actually going mainstream and shit. And I was like, okay, this can be really, really bad. And unfortunately, but fortunately, there was the untimely demise of him. And it was unfortunate, but at that time I was already completely withdrawn. Completely. Actually, I had already addressed it publicly. Some of my videos actually later on, I had put out some warning videos. I was going against some of the stuff he was talking about, the average submission video, because I saw most of the guys that were there watching Kevin Samuels were average or lower. And I'm just like, okay, you can't be average and have some, you think you're going to get a woman or a decent woman. Just saying, there's levels to this. I've always known that. Also, I made this video which was personally addressing a lack of understanding the actions of modern men and women. And I was seeing some people were talking about stuff, and I was just like, okay, if you yourself don't really know the answers, I'm like, why the fuck are you even talking about this? And that's a lot of those red pill guys. They were intellectually, JB said, intellectually masturbating. And it's just like philosophizing shit that they didn't really know the answers to. But I'm just like, okay, then why are you talking about it like you know what you're talking about? And that's why, I was like, I was making some of these videos. Also, this warning video was actually timed fairly close to what I think he now calls himself Mike TV. But I eventually, I don't want to say teamed up with him, but I joined his broadcast. Let me see if I can find him real quick. Hold on. But now he calls himself Mike TV. I forgot. Uh, oh, he got his channel deleted. Oh, that's unfortunately. But I timed it. Unfortunately, his channel was deleted. But before he changed the name of it to, I think it was called The Watchman, the other channel that apparently got deleted. Before he called it Mike TV, it was The Watchman. Of course, anyone who watches JB and the business, he was on the business, and he was making some of those early videos, unlike anyone else, aside from JB, of course, who was talking about it, dismantling a lot of the contention in the manosphere. And I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm all for that because I'm seeing a lot of bullshit going on here too. There are a lot of dumb shit happening. So actually, at the time it was called The Watchman, but ironically, right when he started that, I made this video, this warning video, which this warning video is what I made because I was like, okay, I'm seeing a lot of bullshit, and I was actually about to start making some content personally addressing some of the individuals in the manosphere, and then I saw Mike TV. He popped up and he started making those videos himself, and I was like, okay, cool, somebody's already doing it, so I'm not gonna sit here and recreate stuff that someone is. And he had an open panel, and I was like, hey, let me just join in, and that's exactly what I did. And I addressed all the issues that I was seeing, some of the shit I was hearing. We went at some of the dumb shit that was being said in the manosphere, like guys paying for pussy and all that stuff. Stuff that I'm absolutely against. I've always been against, and I addressed it and all that stuff in his videos. Unfortunately, because his channel is deleted, I don't know. Actually, that makes a lot of sense now because I think I did try to go to a link to one of the videos from, I guess, that old channel, and it wasn't working. So now I know why it wasn't working. But there was one broadcast where I was literally on there, and I was like, yeah, Kevin Sim was a fake. He stole his shit from JB. And yeah, I pretty much said all that on his broadcast and everything. I also showed him the incident where I was arguing with the lead attorney, and the lead attorney had pretty much blacklisted me, well as along with the other Manosphere people. So yeah, it's funny that I was a Kevin Simmons follower and all that stuff, but I got blacklisted by the very people that I was supposed to be following, ironically, and to an extent, I was helping dismantle them. But that's why I find that ironic. But also, I did have, for those of you who caught the accident, I had scheduled this video. Unfortunately, I had scheduled it. Now, of course, you can see the date down here, the 22nd. I had actually pre-scheduled this video when I made the first video, which the first video I had made, if I can go to it, the first video, like I said, was one of the earliest videos I made. This thing says a year ago. I don't even know when the date was I made this, but I had some folks on there talking about,
Happy birthday.
talking about the issues and whatnot. Let me see if I find a date. It just says a year. I don't know why. I hate when it does that. Oh, see, yeah, I'll put it in there, of course. I'll see pending dangers due to recent events. So I was pretty much, okay, November 28th, 2021 is when I made this video. I had, of course, by this time, I was aware of who Jason Black was. So it was a done deal. At this time, I was actually still vetting, JB, because like I said, when I watch someone's video, I don't just watch it. I have to digest the information, see if it's true, how does it align with the stuff I believe, which honestly, the stuff I was seeing on JB stuff, it was literally stuff I was thinking 10 years ago. I credit him with accelerating. Now, eventually I would have gotten to where I am now by myself. However, it would have taken me 5 to 10 years learning it on my own. So I do credit JB for accelerating that, and I am very greatly. I said that in the prior video, but I do greatly appreciate that. So he did nothing but accelerate what I was to become, what I was going to evolve into inevitably. It was inevitable. I've always been the same. My goals and my desires have always been the same. It's just I downloaded fresh, new, updated information, which I was already dismantling all the outdated information typically given to us by our fathers and grandfathers, because we don't live in their world. This is a completely different world. It is savage mode out here. The living, the cost of living, the government, the females, yeah. Our fathers, they didn't have to deal with this shit at all. So I was pretty much, and of course, I literally stated here in the description, I have not edited any of this, but I was saying, I see some of the dangers, and it's, in the content of Kevin Samuels. So that's literally what that video was, like straight up. So I had actually scheduled this video right after. Let me see if I can share this. But I had actually shared this video right after I made that first video because it was supposed to be a follow-up. Because I wanted to do more research and I actually wanted to look up video clips and stuff, those points in contention that I had with the stuff he was saying. Like, I was literally about to dismantle this guy. Unfortunately, he died before I can get around to it. I actually wanted, in the first video, you'll see that I was actually softening it a bit, and I did that on purpose because I actually wanted to still have an opportunity to talk to him, Kevin. I wanted to talk to him directly. And I knew if I made it so obvious that I was against anything he was doing, I could see he was soft. I could see, like, okay, if he even sensed danger, he wasn't trying to talk to you. So that was an obvious red flag. But I was like, okay, let me see if I can, work my way into getting that conversation. And that's what the original plan was supposed to be. I have scheduled this video at a later date because I was like, okay, I'm going to see if I can get that conversation with him. And I can finally ask him some of these questions and if he can actually genuinely explain it without giving some bullshit response like book a session. So that's why this video, and actually I forgot to take it down. So if you actually, some of you might have actually saw that by accident, it had went live because when you schedule stuff ahead of time, if you don't take it down on StreamYard, it'll actually like start the live, or it still sends out the alerts and everything. And I remember I saw it on my phone. I was like, oh shit, I forgot to cancel this because before this was set to go live, that's when he died. And I found it distasteful, to do this type of thing because some of the slides I had, of course, like I said, but then again, I'm a Kevin Samuels follower. Some of the slides I had were not kind. These were some of the stuff I had made myself. I'm showing these for the first time, but these are all things I made like a year or so ago when I was supposed to be doing this stuff. So, I didn't want to, demonize the man, like, actually post-mortem. I'm not complete savage. That's when I was supposed to, this is the original thumbnail I was supposed to use. But yeah, I was like, okay, he passed away. JB already addressed it. The people, that need to know, it is what it is. There's no need for me to do any of this. Like it was unnecessary. So that's when it just got discontinued. That's why this video never happened. That this broadcast never happened. That's why. I really did want, if I could have gotten him on, I really did want to just address it because I was interested in hearing his response. But it is what it is. Things happen. Unfortunately, that's life. So I wanted to put that out there because apparently my decision to separate, me doing what I got to do, there might be some folks out there thinking I'm doing it because of YouTube videos or something. And I'm just like, if only they knew. If only they really knew the shit I've tolerated over the last few years. And I don't mean just while we've been married. No, I've tolerated quite a bit. I mean, some people say 3 strikes, you're out. Yeah, my chick was on like, I was too nice. I'm not even gonna lie. I was too fucking nice. She was damn near on her 6th, 7th strike. I'm not even lying. Like To be honest, looking back, hindsight 2020, of course, I was just like, why the hell? Did, like, how did it even get this far? And that's when I had to do the look into myself, into why I allowed myself to be in that position, why I continued to deal with her, even though I knew that there were some obvious red flags, and I overlooked them. Of course, she did her part in I guess smoothing them over. Of course, lying and deceiving me, but she smoothed them over, even though I should have just taken it at face value. There was the part where, of course, I did the naive, the unforced error about naivety. I was naive. I did not know that. Uh, well, one, I didn't know the real nature of women, and how they absolutely are able and willing to self sabotage shit. I assumed it was like myself, like, okay, if I'm all in on this, I'm not going to sabotage it myself. I mean, that's counterintuitive. That it doesn't. How does that benefit the relationship? Why would I work to dismantle my own relationship? It didn't make sense to me, and I didn't understand that there were ulterior motives. And the reason I say that is because I did exactly what this uh, broadcast. Well, no, it's not a broadcast. What this video is talking about. This is coming to you from Audible. I was literally just listening to this book um, by Robert Greene, of course. I was literally just listening to this. So this passage, one thing about fate, I was already going to talk about what I'm talking about now, but it just so happened that this passage was, as I was getting ready, this passage, came up here. And it was very closely related to this because it shows you, like, okay, what he's about to say here is exactly what I did. And mind you, what I did was prior to this knowledge. So none of this hasn't had influence on me making my decision. I did my own research, my own digging, these are my own thoughts and choices. So because apparently I've been doing a lot of research and stuff, and there's been YouTube here and there. And like I said, some folks just think that I made my decisions because of YouTube videos. And I'm just like, okay. No, what he's saying here is what I did. So let me see if the audio is playing. Okay, I think the audio says it is on. So I'm just gonna play it in snippets, and of course, fair use, fair use. I am most likely going to get a strike of some sort for this, but I'm not doing this for money or anything like that. Actually, let me see if I can do a little bit of background music. A little bit of my background music. But what he's going to talk about here is when I was processing my thoughts and everything. And that is pertaining to the disrespect that I was encountering, the actions that were being done, all that stuff. And I was seeing you'll see some of the videos I post next year a little bit more into what was really going on, but I had seen what was going on, and I was like, okay, let me not respond like this individual would like me to respond, which was erratic and emotional and angry and shouting and cursing, etc., etc. So I was actually very stoic the entire time. All this stuff was going on. I can't even remember if I raised my voice once. I can't even recall if I ever even raised my voice, to be honest. There might have been one. There might have been one time among many that I could have. It was obvious, this person wants to argue right now. And you know how it is. When someone wants to argue, they just say and do shit where it's like, okay, really, you're really going to step over that line. You're going to disrespect me to that just to try to get me to respond negatively. So this is actually what I did.
Nothing personal. A lot of people in life have terrible problems dealing with politics, with disassociating their emotions from the work world or the realm of power. They take everything personally. I myself had a terrible problem working in offices working in Hollywood, working in journalism, and so on. I'm a bit naive, and a lot of other people are too.
So yes, I did state that in my unforced error earlier. I talked about naivety and how it is an unforced error because you are choosing to be naive. It is on you to learn what you need to do to operate in life. Your parents can only teach you but so much. And as JB has said many times, which I agree with, your parents, and this is something I had to come to terms with myself, your parents cannot, they will not, they are not going to teach you everything you need to know. Because they don't know. They don't. They're people too. Just like I have a daughter and I don't know everything. I don't. I don't know everything. So I had to come to terms with that. And a lot of people have to come to terms with that. Your parents are not going to be able to teach you everything you need to know. They're just not. They're people too. They make mistakes just like we all make mistakes.
And basically what happens in these situations is, because nobody trains you for these things, you get emotional. You take what people say and do personally. The moment you get wrapped up in the emotions of it, you're done. You have to.
And that's exactly what I was preventing from happening. Because as I stated over the last 2 years when I was going through my situation with my spouse, that's exactly what was going on. It's like, and actually I had known this. I had seen this in relationships and I had seen the dynamics. That's actually why I wanted actually one of my earlier videos, I might have said this, but yeah, I learned not to argue with women. I was like, yeah, I don't argue with women because I see what they do. I see the tactics. Actually, most of the time, they push those buttons intentionally, personally. They do that on purpose to get you emotional, all that stuff. And that's why I'm like, yeah, I don't argue with women at all, period. I don't like to argue. In general, it's not going to be argument, to be honest. Like if I'm with a dude, usually it's going to get physical before if there's going to be an argument because I don't like to argue. I'm like, okay, either something's about to happen or it's not. So say your piece, do what you got to do, man. But either something's about to happen here or nothing's about to happen here. I'm more about action. But yeah, I was like, yeah, let's curb the shouting and all that emotional talk. I'm not about to argue, but we'll continue.
To be able to look at life as if it were moves on a chessboard. Marcus Aurelius has this great quote that I'll paraphrase. If you're in a boxing ring and the boxer punches you in the face, you don't whine about the unfairness or the cruelty. No, that's just part of the game.
And that's another thing. All the shit I was going through, all the lying, all the deception. I had to look back on it, and I was just like, yeah, it was wrong, but I did do that self. I looked upon myself. How did I get myself into this? And I got myself into that because there was a part of me that wanted companionship. It desired companionship. Not that I couldn't be by myself. I absolutely can. I mean, I'm by myself now. I'm okay by myself. So it wasn't that. It was more so I did crave, I desired companionship. I wanted that whole family dynamic. In a way, I had something to prove in a way where it's like I had a feeling because neither of our parents, marriage, well, neither of our parents actually got married with one another. So we each had our own different dynamic in broken families and households. So I was very, very much for, okay, we're going to do it the right way, that type of thing. And she was on board, or at least, she was doing everything to appear as if she was on board with all that. And for the most part, I was like, okay, cool. She's on board. She's shown she's on board. She outcompeted all the other bitches. She did. I did not make it easy for her. I didn't. I actually broke up with her, and she eventually worked her way back in. Like I said, I did not actually. I'm not gonna lie. I was a bit of an asshole. I will say that. But hey, she's stuck in there, and that's when I was like, okay, she must really want to be here. And I assumed it was for the right reasons. That's what I assumed it was for. Because why would someone do all of that to get back in? Why would they do all of that just to, I don't know, go nuclear? That didn't make sense to me. So I thought I had a ride or die. I thought I had a trooper. I thought I had that. So I was willing. And then, of course, my daughter, the situation with my daughter, that was not according to plan. And there was actually a lot of lying and deception with that. And that's actually the one thing that made me question her real motives. And in a way, I wasn't mad at her for her making her decisions, because her decisions are what kept me here. For the most part, I mean, for God's sake, I married the chick, which is what she wanted. So she did what she had to do, or what she felt like she had to do, even though it would have been smarter for her to wait till after we got married to go ahead and do what she had to do to get pregnant. But it actually would have worked out a lot better had she done that. But the fact that she did it before was that's actually what was like, okay, something's not right here, because she knew I did not want to have a bastard child. She knew that. She knew I was very adamant on having the proper family as I saw it. She knew that. Yet she was willing to, go that route. And I was pissed. To this day, I was still pissed about that. And wish my daughter would have been born in a better situation. I do. But as he was saying, I had to understand. I was like, okay, she did what she thought she had to do to, unfortunately, if you want to call it a trap a nigga baby, to in a way ensure my, I guess, I can't even describe it properly, but to keep me around. So if you want to call it a trap a nigga baby or whatever, maybe she thought we had been engaged for so long. Maybe she knew, okay, maybe he's questioning this marriage thing. So like a lot of women do when they think that they can't get the marriage, let me at least get the kid. So it came off as that. But I was like, you know what? If that's what she felt like she had to do, okay, that you went about it the wrong way, but at the same time, you could have just came and talked to me, because I was big on communication. But let's continue.
I want you to see life like this. If someone does something to you that is nasty, get control of your emotions. Don't react. Don't get upset. Look at it as moves on a chessboard. They are moving you. Don't listen to their words, because people will say anything. Look at their moves.
And that's exactly what I did. Now, mind you, I was doing all this stuff before prior knowledge to this. So I've always been about action. I was like, okay, yeah, fuck words. I'm looking at what you're doing. So that's why I made my decision. It was based solely off the actions of the individual, what it is that I can get out of them, meaning with words, but at the same time, okay, if the person I'm talking to is a verified liar, meaning you're known to lie to me, you've lied to me numerous times, and I know you're absolutely willing and able to lie about serious shit like the kid's yours, that type of shit. Like, yeah, you're capable of that. Absolutely, 1000% capable of that. I know you are. So therefore, why the fuck would I believe anything that comes out of your mouth versus your actual actions? Because if what you say is you want this to work and you want to do this and do that, your actions aren't supporting that. And that's what I did. I was like, okay, let me not listen to what they're saying, because of course, as I've learned, as people, as we've all learned, actually the 48 laws of power and all this stuff about power, I literally say it's like a book on deception and stuff, because that is a powerful tool and everything. That is the tool of women. If you look at the art of seduction, all that stuff, Yeah, because women can't be as direct as men can because they actually like to avoid conflict if they can, but at the same time, they want to achieve the outcomes they desire. So, one way to do that is to manipulate and deceive. Okay, I get that. I respect that. I understand that that's a normal way of doing it. However, just me saying that, some women will be like, "Oh my god, no, no, no," and I'm just like, "It is what it is. Like, why can't we just accept that? It is what it is." Yes, guys lie too. I'm not saying we don't, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, that is the tool of women. If you want to do something, you want to get something, yeah, you're more than likely going to lie and deceive whomever it is to get what you want. Absolutely. What I mean, what? Why beat around the bush? It is what it is, and I was okay with that. I was absolutely like, because it is what it is. It is the truth. That which is, and that's exactly what I did. It wasn't based off of anything. It wasn't based off of what someone said on a fucking YouTube video, in a book, because I literally just listened to this like an hour ago. I think it was an hour ago. Yeah, it was like about an hour ago. I had no prior knowledge to this, even though what he's saying in this thing, ironically and fatefully, directly related to what I was about to about. So it's just good timing. As a matter of fact, most, if not all, my videos, if I actually think about it, I might have prepared maybe some clips and stuff, but most, like all my videos, is just me just talking. I don't have any PowerPoints in front of me. I didn't prepare anything. Like even this shit, I'm literally pulling it up on YouTube and shit. Like I'm pulling these slides up one at a time. But like none of this shit is like planned out in that type of way. Like I have my thoughts, and I'm like, okay, this is what I want to talk about. This is the point of this video. But like this stuff is just, it just happens. So if I find something that supports something I want to talk about that day, which often I did, some of those clips and stuff that I saw was literally stuff that just popped up on my thing, and I was like, okay, I was going to talk about this subject today, and like this relates to that, so let me use that. So that's actually how it happens. That's why I say oftentimes it might have been fate, because like, oh look, I'm actually about to talk about something. He's actually talking about one of the very things that I did based on the subject I'm about to talk about. So it was convenient, but at the same time, if people want to say it's fate, it might have been fate as well. Yeah, I'll chalk it up to that. But let's finish it off.
Look at their maneuvers. Look at their past actions. Actions tell you who they are, not what they say. That kind of self-control is immensely liberating and empowering. Daily law. Judging people by their actions and not taking them personally will free you up, help you keep your emotional balance.
So that's, as I'm evolving, as I'm getting better, that's what I did. I mean, anyone can tell you I've been pretty damn stoic. I've been pretty damn calm. You know, I'll tell some folks, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm getting divorced. I'm like, oh wow. They're surprised because I'm so not fucked up. And I'm just like, yeah, I had time to think this over. I look back on all that stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that was the best choice. It was. Things weren't going to get better. They weren't. They were not getting better. They were just getting worse. Next stop would have been physical abuse. And we already know, cops and all that stuff. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. Part of me was a bit afraid that I would wake up with a fucking knife in my chest. I'm not even, just, I'm always kind of that worst case scenario type guy. But I'd be lying if I said that didn't cross my mind. I'd be lying if I didn't say that. I'd be lying if I didn't say that I was afraid that I was gonna wake up and then my 357 revolver would flash in my face. I, because she knows what the weapons are, and yeah, yeah. So I'd be lying if I said I wasn't somewhat concerned about that. I do keep my knives sharp. I have some fairly large kitchen knives. I do, but I would absolutely be lying if I said that I was not worried about waking up and there being my bread knife, or even worse, one of the steak knives or the meat cleaver or something was sticking out of my chest. There was a part of me that was concerned about that. And then there was the thought of, oh, she'd never do that. And then right after me thinking that, there was the thought of, that's probably what all those other guys said as they were getting ran over by their girlfriends in their cars, or as their girlfriends were taking their heads off with their 12 gauge shotgun, or as their girlfriends were stabbing them to death, or hired some guy to come and get them. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they either said that or thought that themselves. Oh, she'd never do that. So, I mean, I'm being a little bit facetious here. I got to be. That's how I take life. You learn how to. You know, it's kind of like that. Richard Pryor, Bernie Mac, type comedy. Like, yes, there's some real talk, but you can laugh about some real shit. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, I'd be lying if I said that I was not concerned about that. So I did what I had to do. It was absolutely my choice. I thought about it for a couple of weeks, if not months, to be honest. All the while, trying to do what I can if I could save my family. Of course, I tried. It helps if the other person's also trying. But while I'm trying, like while you're trying to do something, I'll end on that. So I'm not going to say it yet, but let's continue. Let's finish this clip real quick.
Robert Greene, Mastery and Research. Finding Mastery. Conversations with Michael Gervais. January 25th, 2017.
So that was just the remarks, like where that came from. That was actually his daily laws, where he pretty much goes through, like Robert Greene goes through his prior books and all that stuff, and he goes through some of the laws that he recommends in a way to live by. In your regular day to day, and he kind of dates them and stuff because you're supposed to go through it by the dates. But yeah, I wanted to end on this next one because when I say I had to do what I had to do, I had to make an earlier video because I did go through my own personal therapy, and I talked about how my therapist, made me into more of a savage, because as I was talking to him, I was worried and concerned about all these people around me. I was trying to help people. I was trying to do too much. I was trying to do more than I really could on my own because I still had to, I still got accomplishments to achieve and goals in my life, so it's just hindering me trying to help someone lift their load, and I still got to move my own. And he pretty much helped me understand I can't help everybody. I can't. I can't help someone that does not want to help themselves. Period. No matter how much I talk to them, no matter how much I try to reason with them, tell them the solutions, if they don't want to hear it, they're not going to hear it. On that note, and this is real talk. This should be a story clip, so I can play the little story thing. But I'm not. I want to say, in the middle of me in this hectic time in my life where I'm on one hand busting my ass, working long hours, night shift, 6 days a week, literally working myself to death. Literally. And trying to figure out what the hell's going on with my spouse, trying to see if I can save whatever remnants I can of our relationship because we have this child that we must raise, and it is best if we are together as a family to raise said child. But I remember I was getting exhausted I was literally exhausting all my options: therapy, interventions, family, friends, books, videos, anything you could think of, going out on a spontaneous date and buying expensive shit and sex and blah 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 blah. Anything you could think of that you would try to do, trying to sit down and have a genuine conversation just to talk with one another. Like it doesn't matter. Anything you can think of to try and save a relationship, to try and save that type of relationship, someone that you're married to and you have a child with, anything you can think of, I did it within that, what, 1.5, 2 years. The last, I did it. Absolutely. If it didn't happen, it was because it was sabotaged, because the other one didn't want to do it, because she didn't want to do it. But no, I literally was like, hey, I'm whatever we gotta do, I'm open to it. Let's do it. Like, because this is not right. We need to fix this. This is all an issue. Can we like fix this so we can get on the same page and blah blah blah? Like whatever needed to happen, got a CPA, all that stuff. Everything. Like I was just like, okay, I don't know. It got to the point where I was just like, okay, none of this is making sense. I don't know what the hell to do. And I was exhausted because at the time I had pretty much exhausted all options at the time. And I was just, you know how it is when you pretty much do everything and you're just there and you're just like, you know what, fuck it. I don't know what the fuck to do right now. And I remember I had went up to her. I just went straight to her. I was like, and this is real talk. This is what I said. I was like, it feels like you just gave up. I was like, I'm sitting here and I'm trying to, because she had seen what I was doing. I was trying to do everything I could. I was like, like I'm trying to do all this stuff and I'm trying to, I already told you what to expect. I'm going to be working a lot. We don't have the money we need saved up like that. So it's not like, we can go and do all that extra stuff yet. It was coming, but at the time I already told her, hey, give me 1-2 years and then we can do all that stuff. Cool. But that's me, on the side note. So, but I was, and I quote, it seems like you just gave up, end quote. That's what I said to her. And her response to that, in a way, there was a bit of solace after she responded to that. And her response, if I can remember it properly, I'm not looking at my journal. I did write it down in my journal. I'm not looking at it right now. But I might be paraphrasing, but her response to that was, she kind of, she actually genuinely, I think she probably had her headphones on. She finally took her headphones off to talk to me. And she looked at me and I guess I saw she had thought about it. And then she had looked at me and she was like, quote, you know what, I did. End quote. And then after she said that to me, and then I just kind of sat there and there was a moment of solace. I'm not going to lie. In a way, it felt good. It felt good. Here's why. I had been doing so much shit thinking that maybe there's something I'm not doing. Maybe there's something I'm not thinking of. Maybe there's something that I don't know. Like I'm one of those guys, I made the prior thing, guys hate to lose for a reason. Like I was like, what the fuck is the answer? I shit you not. I was sitting there and I was doing all this running around, all this crazy stuff. If people really knew how hectic my life was at the time, wasn't really talking to anybody. Like my mom and everybody was calling me and shit, and they could never really reach me because I was either working or doing something. I'd get back to them here and there, but I was just like, I had no real, life because I was trying to figure out what the hell was going on. And there was that moment of solace after she said that, after she told me that. And then I was like, oh, okay. That was kind of my response to that. Like, there was nothing that I could really, it's not like I was going to argue or anything like that. I was going to complain because, similar to that snippet I just played with the Robert Greene, like, her actions said just that. I didn't ask that question for no reason. I don't ask questions for no reason. I asked that question because as I sat there and thought about everything, I was thinking about everything I was doing, and then I was realizing, wait a second, what is she doing? And then I realized, I mean, aside from her doing whatever shenanigans she is while I'm not there or on her own, I'm just like, she's not really doing anything to save any type of, to save our relationship. She knows there's a problem with it. I know there's a problem with it. The communication, everything's broken down. There's a lot of hate going on. She's trying to argue with me every fucking day, and I'm just like, okay, she's not really doing anything. Like, she's not recommending any type of couples anything, no kind of nothing. I'm the one up here talking about let's do couples therapy and let's do that, let's do this, and shit. I think I almost planned a damn getaway cruise with those couples or some bullshit. And I was just like, and that's why I asked her that question, because at that time I was literally like, you know what, I've exhausted, literally, I've spent the last year or so learning all this shit. I read the fucking, what is it, the Grave novels, the Women Are from Mars and Venus. I read all the damn books and everything. It all made sense. I asked her to do the same. She did not. I don't even think she cracked it open. Of course, I got her on Audible, so it's not like she actually had to sit there and read, which, mind you, she is a fast reader. She's a very fast reader. It's actually one of the things I was attracted to her for. It's one of the weaknesses I have. I don't like reading like that. Dyslexic. But she was a very good reader, so actually, yeah, that was actually one of the reasons that I was attracted to her. Actually, when I first saw her, she was reading a book. But, yeah, she didn't even bother. I was like, hey, I got these books. You know, I already started them. I think it'd be good. You know, you just go through them. It kind of, you know, helps. It can help us solve that communication thing, which, mind you, I already knew what the issue was. I just didn't want to. I knew that I couldn't tell her the answer. I knew she had to come up with the answer herself. And I knew that those novels, those books would help her get there. And to be honest, now I think about it, she probably knew what the problem was, because if I'm just being fair, she was making the problem. I was absolutely willing to talk. That's why I was trying to set up the couples therapy and all this. Like, I just wanted to talk. She did not. And that's why when I asked that question and she gave me that answer, the moment of solace was understanding that it wasn't me. I was like, oh, okay. Because I thought that there was something I wasn't doing. I thought that there was something that I could do. And then I realized, no, there's actually nothing you can do. She just gave up. And I was like, oh, okay. And then that pretty much changed everything after that. And I thought, okay, well, maybe we can just make it work for the kid, which was a terrible idea. Now, this is, of course, after we're already married. So, of course, she comes to that realization that she no longer wants to try in a relationship after we get married. Go figure. But I was like, okay, well, look, we literally just got married not even a year ago. So I was like, okay, well, at least can we at least raise her? Like, okay, so I'm already, you know, assuming, okay, we're gonna raise her and eventually we'll just get married like 10, 15 years down the road as soon as she goes off to college or something. That's what I was assuming. You know, mom can do her thing, dad can do his thing or whatever. That's what I was assuming. I thought we could be respectable. I thought we could raise our child. But, you know, shit went off the edges. There was too much disrespect. And it just got, I'll just say it escalated. And that's when I was like, yeah, I just need to, I made my own choices. I made my own decision. And that's why I made that decision. That's the real. So no, it wasn't some Kevin Samuels bullshit, manosphere red pill bullshit. I've never been red pill. I mean, I already made the videos about me arguing with those guys. For God's sake, you can look on my own YouTube for that. You can, it's literally on my YouTube. Me arguing with the red pill guys. I mean, it's literally on my YouTube channel. But I made this video because sometimes what you do will align with what's going on. You know, like the snippet I just played, it aligned with what I was doing. Although what I was about to talk about had nothing to do with that clip. Prior knowledge, meaning I didn't plan on talking about this because of that clip. I already planned on talking about this. And then I ran across that clip literally like a few minutes before I was about to start this broadcast. But just make your decisions logically. Don't be too emotional when you do it. Like, think through it. Sometimes it'll take you a while. Now, there are other times where you have to make quick decisions. Okay, if you're a quick thinker, you're a good thinker on your feet, do what you got to do. But if you got the time, don't rush it. Take your time. Think about it. Look back at the actions of the individual if it's based around a person, which it usually is. But look at the actions of the individual. Fuck what they're saying. Look at what they're doing. Look at how they treat you. Look at how they treat those around you. Are they treating those around you better than they're treating you? You know, you could be someone's spouse and they're treating people around you better than they're treating you. Okay, that's something, right? Take all that into account. What could that mean? And then I believe I can't remember if it was in a snippet, but he was also talking about how you work your way back from it. So it's like, okay, this is the outcome. He actually talks about it in the next one where he's talking about people's motives and people want power. So ironically, that also relates to this. But it's like, okay, this was the outcome of what just happened. This is what they told me, but what they told me isn't aligning with the outcome. But what were their actions leading up to it? And then that's where you can kind of reverse engineer what it was. And then you can, you know, of course you can't. The only way you can't prove intent. It's damn near impossible because you're not going to be able to read someone's mind, and most of the time people are just going to lie to you anyway. So it's the outcome. It's whatever outcome it was. There is a reason why that outcome happened. They have their motives, which usually their motives is to gain power, to get something for themselves. Yes, that's the motive of most, if not all people on this planet. So you reverse engineer that, the outcome, the motives, if you have an understanding of psychology, sociology, yeah, and then you reverse engineer that. Yes, there's going to be some factors in there you can't really account for, like they had a conversation with someone that helped tweak their thinking process or whatever. You can't think about that, but what you can do is you can peel it back and then reverse engineer it, and then in a way guesstimate what the motive was, and then relate that to a prior situation, like, oh, that's why they said that, that's why they did that at that time. Oh, because usually the proof is there. It's just you have to see it in a new light. Oftentimes, like when you rewatch a video, there was a traitor in that video. Like if you watch a movie or something, if you ever rewatched a movie where one of the characters early in the movie is like buddies with the main character and they ended up being a traitor later, and real good movies will actually do this, but you rewatch the movie and you know that person's a traitor, and then you'll see like they did something or made a joke earlier in the movie, and then you're like, oh, that's why they made that joke, because they actually ended up being the damn traitor, that type of thing. So yeah, that's why when you reverse engineer it, then some stuff that you thought was out of line or was a mistake, then you realize, oh, that's why that happened, and now it makes sense. And that's actually the point I got to. That's the point I came to. I actually started to now, like right now, I understand. Like I'm like, oh, like It did not make sense to me like a year ago. It like I was crazy a year ago. I was like, what the fuck's going on? I don't know what the hell's going on. Something I knew something wasn't right. It was not right. I will say that. But because I didn't have the answers, because I didn't know what was going on, because I didn't know, she pretty much just gave up. I didn't know the motives there. Even after that conversation, I had to understand. Okay, why? So even though I had that solace of knowing, okay, yeah, she did give up. Okay, cool. But why? Why go through the whole, situation with the relationship? Why have the kid? Why be okay with the marriage and all this stuff? Oh, Jesus Christ, Google don't shut up. But I was just like, okay. So then I had to reverse engineer that and go even further into a lot of the things going on and whatnot. And then eventually I got my answer, which a year or so from now you will find out what the answer is. But for now, I gotta hold on to that. I'm gonna have to hold on to that. So thanks for listening, and hopefully you get something from this, because I definitely did. And as always, thank you for watching. And this is information, and you know what to do with information, man. You don't just listen, man. You gotta get out there and do it.
Don't let me down, man. If you let me down, I don't know what I'd do.
It's been a crossover. Peace out.
お前はもう死んでいる。